أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله عليك يا ولي العصر أدركنا. Salaam Alaikum, brothers and sisters. Welcome back. In this video, we'll touch on the topic of humility and understand its importance in our lives, especially because it makes us sincere in our acts of worship. We should perform all acts of worship with a pure intention, but this pure intention can only exist if you are humble in front of everyone. Before going through a story that highlights the importance of humility, let's start with an ayah of Holy Quran. While praising courteous people, the Holy Quran in Surah Furqan, ayah number 63 says, وَعِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنِ الَّذِينَ يَمْشُونَ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ هَوْنًا وَإِذَا خَاطَبُهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. And the servants of the beneficent Allah are those who walk on the earth in humility, and when the ignorant address them, they say peace. The verse tells us that the true servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are those who are humble and polite in front of everyone, regardless of their status in the society. The Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his progeny are perfect examples of humility, and their life was based on these principles. They used to sit with poor people, share their meals, and used to treat them in a brotherly manner. In fact, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to reprimand arrogant people and teach them a lesson of politeness and humility. This can be seen from an incident that happened during his lifetime. Through a reliable chain, it is narrated from Imam Jafar as-Sadiq alayhi salam that once a rich man came in the presence of Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and sat down while he was giving a speech. After some time, a poor man entered the room and sat beside the rich man. But by mistake, a part of the rich man's garment ended up under the poor man's knee. Seeing this, the rich man pulled his garment towards him, and the Holy Prophet ﷺ noticed this, and he got infuriated at the rich man. And he asked him, "Do you think that your problems will be transferred to him meaning the poor man?" And the rich man replied by saying, "No." Then the Prophet asked him, "Do you think that your prosperity will be transferred to him?" He said, "No." And then the Prophet asked, "Do you think that your clothes will get dirty?" And he said, "No." Then the Prophet finally asked him, "Why did you behave in such a manner?" And the rich man obviously was guilty of what he did. And he replied by saying, "O Prophet of Allah, I have a companion." And by companion he refers to Shaitan. So he said, "I have a companion who makes every bad thing seem good to me and shows every good in a bad light. So to compensate for what I did to the poor man, I offer 50% of my wealth." And then the Holy Prophet ﷺ asked the poor man if he accepts the apology and if he accepts the rich man's offer. And so the poor man replied by saying, "I accept the apology, but I do not want his wealth." And the rich man asked him the reason. And so the poor man said that, "I fear that the same arrogance will come over me." This serves as a reminder of the importance of humility and teaches us that we should not be arrogant in front of people, regardless of our socioeconomic status. It emphasizes that humility is the root of all virtues. It is the foundation of developing positive qualities and performing acts of worship sincerely. Only those who are close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and understand His oneness can comprehend the true meaning of humility. The pious ones are those who submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and fear Him. But this submissiveness and fear can only stem from humility. Moreover, you will be rewarded for your humility. As Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said, "Ma tawada'a ahadu lillahi illa rafa'ahu Allah." There is none who exhibits humility for the sake of Allah, except that Allah grants him greatness and eminence. This implies that humility is not a weakness, but rather a trait that helps you achieve higher levels of spirituality. On the other hand, arrogance only earns you disaffection and disregard from people. Sometimes when we achieve something great in life or when we acquire a lot of wealth, we think of ourselves as someone more important than others. Well, you might be more important in the eyes of people, but in the eyes of Allah, everyone is considered equally, regardless of the socioeconomic status. So let us use the month of Ramadan as a means of instilling humility in our hearts. This will in turn help us perform acts of worship sincerely with a pure heart. So make sure in Ramadan you are humble and polite in front of everyone, and that this change persists even after Ramadan. And we hope that this change will make the Imam of our time happy. وآخر الدعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. التماس دعاء. See you in the next video inshallah. Khuda Hafiz. Take care.